Welcome to my channel, Lady Homemaker. If you're new here, I make videos from a Christian's perspective on life and the Bible, and just like to share things that God is teaching me in hopes that it would encourage you as well. So on that note, something that's been on my mind recently is bitterness, because it's easy to think I'm not a bitter person. I don't really struggle with that, but this week I realized I do. Even just in the smallest ways. And it can, but the sad thing is often it affects the people closest to us. So I am married and my darling husband is the kindest man alive, but so often I can be so sinful against him. And in the one area I've noticed is bitterness. And for example, I could spend all day cleaning and ironing and doing all the chores around the house. I'm a homemaker and a university student, so I am home 90% of the time. And so I do the majority of the chores and whatnot, which I love doing. Don't get me wrong. I really love all the things. I love being able to iron and vacuum and stay home and do those things. But I often expect recognition from it, which is so wrong. And so if he comes home and he's like, oh, thank you for doing the laundry. And I'm like, oh, you're welcome. But he doesn't notice I vacuum the floors as well. I can get a little bitter about that and be like, oh, doesn't he see all the work I do and how I vacuum these floors? And oh, doesn't it look nice? And he doesn't appreciate it, which is not true. But anyway, I can take that little seed of bitterness and hold it in my heart. And then later on in the evening, if I notice, maybe he's left his shoes out, I can look at that and be like, oh, how dare he leave his shoes out? Does he not know I cleaned up today? And I can add that bitterness to that other seed and another and another and another. And before long, I have this whole mountain of bitterness I've built up against my husband. And I can think, oh, it's because of him and he's the problem. And, if he, did this or that, then it would be fine. It's not really my sin. It is my sin. And a large part of it, I realized, is pride. Pride. I think that everything done, like when he, doesn't acknowledge that I vacuumed or doesn't pick up his shoes, he's doing it because he hates me. That's the only possible reason why he would do it. He hates me, which is so not true. I think so much about myself that I just get so self-consumed, and I think the whole world revolves around me and everything he does is affecting me. And instead of having a Christian attitude, right, that neglects, does not store up bitterness, but rather seeks to forgive and just not being easily offended. In 1 Corinthians 13, the love chapter, it talks about not being easily offended, and that's a characteristic of love. And so often I can be so easily offended. And so reminding myself that it is not him that's the problem, it's me. When he doesn't acknowledge that I vacuumed and I get upset about that, that's not his fault, that's my fault. That reflects what's inside my heart. And so I need to put that to death. And some practical ways that I was thinking about that I can do that, put bitterness to death, is to put pride to death. And a way to put pride to death would, first of all, be pray about it, ask God to help me and to sanctify me and help me to be humble and to serve without expecting anything in return. And then secondly, if I am focusing on all the things my husband does wrong, oh, he didn't say this, or oh, he said that, instead of taking all my energy and putting it on all his faults, what if I took the same amount of energy and put it towards the ways he blesses me daily, all the things I'm thankful for? And this could even be very practical, sitting down, writing out a list. I am thankful for my husband because da 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 da. I am thankful for my husband because da 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 da. And then take that list and meditate on that and thank the Lord for that. And even take the next step and actually talk to my husband about those things that I am thankful for. And that would make such the world of difference. And to not think so much about myself, but to think, okay, how can I serve him? How can I, if I'm offended that he did not comment on my vacuuming, instead of being bitter about that and being like, oh, well, watch if I vacuum again. We could be so silly and so petty. So instead of doing that, instead seek out ways to serve. Find ways, okay, how can I serve him? How can I bless him even more today? And serving without any hope of anything in return. That's what Christ did for us. He died on the cross when we could give him nothing in return. We were dead in our sins, without able to save ourselves. And so, isn't it such a joy that we can share that same Christ-like attitude towards the people closest to us? And, I use my husband as an example because he's the person I live with and he's the closest to me, but this could even apply to, your best friend or your sister or mom or family relation. If you struggle with bitterness towards someone because of something, really strive to put that sin to death in yourself, because bitterness does not hurt the other person at all. It only hurts you. It causes your soul to deteriorate, it causes you to be angry, upset, it causes you not to have a right relationship with God. Is it really worth it? Is it really? It is so much more important to live in harmony with one another than be right. And pride steals all joy. It robs us of the joy in every day. It robs us from the little moments. Because if I'm sitting here all bitter at my husband, I'm not enjoying the fellowship we could have. I'm not enjoying the evening with him. I'm not enjoying the marriage God has blessed me with. And same if you're upset with a friend or whatnot. So I would encourage you today, as I am encouraging myself, to flee pride and bitterness and put on joy and contentment, and really just marvel at how the Lord works in that. Thank you so much for joining me today. I just had such a great time chatting, and I hope you just have such a blessed day. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.